This is we're trying some new stuff here, so I'm interested to see how it works. Let us know if you're here. I'm sure that it's going to take a few minutes for people to see the notifications and see it posted. Dylan, let's check and see what it looks like from our end.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look on YouTube and see if it's there.
Nice.
It says Fuel Your Photos is live.
Cool. We're live.
Let's check it out. Oh, it's got like this weird orange background. I don't know how to fix the settings there, but it's light. It's working.
Good. Awesome.
Sweet.
Yep, I see you live on Facebook as well.
Sweet. You want to post that in that event?
For sure.
Hey, we've got some people watching. Okay, so if
Yay.
you're here, leave us a comment. I'm going to see how that comes through. All right, so it looks like on Facebook, with the software that we're using, it's coming through as Facebook user in this software, but I think I can probably find it on Facebook as well. Let's do that.
Awesome.
Sorry, guys, bear with us as we get everything set up here and test it as people are live. If you have a website that you want us to check out, drop it in the comments. We'll be able to get to it and look at it. Or if you have any SEO questions or topics that you want to hear us discuss, we're here to just chat. So let us know what you want to chat about. Can you hear the music okay, Dylan? How does
Yeah,
that sound like?
It's nice and low. It's fine. It's
Okay,
good.
Good. Let's see. Dylan, you want to pull one of the sites that is... Oh, we got Nikki here posting right here in the live. So you want to look at this one first, and then you want to pull queue one up for us to look at from that event.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I can just go like that, and it shows it on the screen.
Nice.
Sweet. All right, so let's go to that. I'm going to pull that up on my screen.
Cool. I have it up on mine as well. Chat about it.
Let's do it.
Awesome. So the Squarespace site looks pretty. Has a nice video.
Let's see if I can share this here. See what happens. There we go. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a video in the background there.
They're local to you as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know Nikki.
Cool.
Let's see. All right. All right, Dylan, give us some takes.
Okay, so first thing I saw, I would definitely go into your SEO settings for the homepage and get something in that title that tells Google and users where you're from and what you do, what you offer.
Yep.
Most likely that's going to be something like, I saw you're an SC, Columbia SC wedding photographer, or wedding photographer in Columbia SC, something like that. I'd really like to see that in the page title. And after that, I think you said it's a brand new site, so content's still coming, but I would love to see the homepage built out a little bit more to really reinforce to Google and users like what expertise you have, what your offering is, what testimonials you have, experience, etc. I think that would go a long way.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the site, if you can, Nikki, in the comments there. Just let us know what you've done so far, what kind of insight you're looking for, what your goals are with the site. How important is it to you to be ranking at Google, and which terms would it be important to rank for? Those things might be helpful in assessing. I think those things that Dylan said are really key. You know, the title is something that you can do today. So at the very least, see, this is one of those nice things that it tells Google what the site's about. It tells searchers what the site's about before they even click on it. And it doesn't display on the site. So this is actually one of those few SEO settings that you can optimize without changing much about your site. Like, it's not going to change how things appear on the front end. So that would be really easy to just go right here and put in, you know, Columbia SE wedding photographer or something along those lines, depending on what it is that you are trying to target primarily. Switch from the old version of Squarespace to the new version and build this on your own. Clearly no clue what you're doing when I wouldn't have even thought about doing that title. Yeah, so that's a great place to start. The site looks nice. How do you like the new Squarespace with the Fluid engine? Has it been easy for you? Or I haven't used it in a few months, so I know the first time I used it was um, it was just coming out, and it was extremely glitchy, and everybody was complaining about how they kept getting their site deleted and all this stuff. But I'm sure they've worked out some of the bugs. Dylan, have you used it recently?
I haven't built out a full site with it, but I have edited other people's sites. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's drag and drop, so there's going to be technical problems. I actually was looking at a site the other day where I was like, "What in the world are they doing with this grid?" It was it was a bit of a mess, but it's interesting what you can do with it. I think that it gives you the capability to make some nice designs. Nikki, a couple of quick thoughts. One, I like the video in the background. I think that's on trend. I think there's a lot of sites right now that are using video in the background and the banner, but the words don't always stand out. So whenever something comes on the screen that, like this suit right here, makes it so that I can't really see it. Let's refresh it and see, like, what is it that first comes up on the screen? Okay, so it's white at first. So that makes it a little bit easier, but still, this gets lost pretty quickly. In my opinion, this is just an opinion, I feel like if you're going to have words over something like this, then the words need to be emphasized. The words need to be always visible. Otherwise, they're just getting in the way of the visual, right? The video. If the words are more important, I wonder if there's a way to do an overlay. I also feel like these... the menu up here is a little bit too small. The font, let's check the size on that. 16, so you're like, technically we're okay with accessibility and size, but to me it's very small and hard to read, especially when it gets in this kind of bokeh in the top left where the trees get kind of sparkly there. It's a little bit hard to read that white. I don't know what's going on here with like the home and the contact being stacked, if they just kind of ran out of room here. The logo feels like, you know, it's really gets lost a lot in the trees and the background here. So those are the kinds of things that, like, just at a first glance, when you have that first impression, there's a couple of things that I want to accomplish. One, you want to give them some sort of visual cue that this is the type of thing that they're looking for. So if they came to your site from a referral, or because you told them about your website, or from a Google search, or from social media, they want to see certain kinds, they want to see your work and be able to know that that's the thing that they're actually searching for. And so that's good. The video accomplishes that, I think. At least it gives some sort of feel, some sort of emotion, some sort of vibe, some sort of style. I think that kind of comes through in the video, which is nice. But I also feel like people want to know, especially from search. So, obviously that's something that we are really going to be emphasizing. I think people want to know that they landed in the place that they intended to land, right? So if they came from a search, let's say they searched for Columbia SC wedding photographer or videographer or something along those lines. When I get here, I'm not sure that I'm in the right place. It takes a while. I have to get all the way into the footer to be able to see Columbia. If we look on this page, we'll do Control F here, Columbia. I must have been looking at somebody else's Columbia site recently. It was the last search I did. It only shows up the one time on the entire page. So it's great to be able to make a connection with people, but you also want to give that kind of practical information that people are looking for to make sure that they are in the right place. From a search perspective, we would want to see the words Columbia and wedding. Let's see how many times we have wedding on here. 3. Just a couple there, and one in the contact form. We want to see those words more times. I think it would be critical if you're going for an on-page optimization. Like if that's a goal for you to try to rank, then I think getting those words in here is going to be critical. Any other thoughts, Dylan?
Quick thoughts, heading structure. Just everything's in an H2. So showing a structure that's actually hierarchy, like has an actual hierarchy of most important topic H1, subtopics H2, topics below, like supporting those, or H3s, etc. would help.
Yeah.
But
So
that's
notice that we've used a couple of browser extensions here. For people who are watching and want to use the same ones, we have detailed SEO right here to show things like the title and meta description, your canonical address, robots tags, anything like that really quickly. It will also show headings, but I really like the headings map extension. It just shows a really simple layout or structure of your headings. It's a great way to see what your headings look like very quickly. I also used what font to check the size of the font. Just click on a font and it will tell you all the things about the font. I know people like to see those the tools, and they always ask which ones we're using.
All right.
You want to look at another website?
Yeah, I'm missing. We had another comment, and I'm trying to find it. It's like not showing properly. Great. So if you shared your site a few minutes ago, let us know.
Was this the one you're looking for?
Probably. Yeah, it was. Yes, exactly that one. Great.
And Nikki, feel free to. Oh, that's not. I must have typed it wrong. Feel free to ask any follow-up questions or anything else that you have. Drop it in the chat there. Let's see. What was it?
Oh, this one's from Boise.
I spelled something wrong here. Let's see. QUE. Oh. No, we have not looked at cgweddings.com yet. We will check that out.
Yeah.
For anyone else who's watching, feel free to drop in links or you can just chat. We can talk about any SEO topics that are on your mind, any questions that you have, anything you've been working on, anything that you're stuck on, any opinions that you would like to have from us. Just let us know. We'll be happy to take a look or give you our thoughts.
Cool. So yeah, this one's from Boise. That's where I started my career, so it's cool to see that. I would say I used quickly the detailed SEO extension to just check out that page title, and it says Boise, Idaho wedding photographer, and then a pipe separator, and then Idaho wedding photography. I would probably recommend just targeting one of those two topics and then add the brand to that as well. So probably starting off with, I believe it's Jack Sudbrook photography, and then Boise, Idaho wedding photographer or Boise wedding photographer. I would keep that simple. If I remember correctly, I think Boise wedding photographer was probably the main term you'd want to be targeting. Idaho is practically associated with either Boise in the south or like Coeur d'Alene or something in northern Idaho. And so people searching for Idaho wedding photographer are most likely going to see Boise wedding photographers. It might show like some McCall and Sun Valley, but I would probably target the whole state a little bit differently. Instead, I'd really make sure that homepage is narrowed in on your main location in Boise. After that, I looked at headings.
Sharing your screen. I was just realized for that whole last one, the extensions that I was using were not sharing in the live. I don't know why. I didn't notice that, but
that's okay.
It's like blocking them out for some reason. So see if you can share, and let's see if that fixes that.
Yeah. So I'll do an entire screen because I've had that problem before.
Yeah, I must have been sharing like the window instead of the browser.
Yep.
But I actually just tried to switch it to the browser and it still wasn't showing. So.
All right. So check that out. See if it's
going to
show.
Add it real quick. There we go. Yep, that's working. Perfect.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
You run that.
So here's where I was looking at your title. It was showing Boise, Idaho wedding photographer, Idaho wedding photography. Like I said, simplify that to your brand, and then Google typically likes a colon, and then Boise wedding photographer. Keep it really simple. And then headings map to look at your heading structure. This is in an H1. Typically I like to keep like more marketing statements out of the H1 heading or the main headings. You can still style the text like that, but this would be your main H1. And so I'd want that to say either Boise, Idaho wedding photographer, or Boise wedding photographer. About Jack, I think I would change that out of an H1. You can still keep the same font. What platform are you using? Show it. Cool. So show it's really easy. You have control completely separate of your design and then which tag the HTML of the text is. So for this type of text, I guess about your name, I would say that's fairly important, but not H1 level. So maybe that might be an H2 or an H3. Anything that's just like there for looks, I would consider putting in either a paragraph tag or a div. Instead of using a heading, I would use headings more like I guess like the uh, table of contents of the page or like an outline of the page. Um, let's work together. Probably not in a heading, definitely not H1. Explore the experience, not in H1, etc. So I hope that makes sense. Um, other quick thoughts before I go. Let's look at the main content of the site. We have a slideshow about, call to action, testimonials, more about the experience, where you're published, and then another call to action. I would say if you had some great resources, I would link to those. So if you have like a wedding guide for Boise, a location guide for Boise wedding venues, uh, favorite vendors in Boise, linking to that kind of stuff would be great. And that's pretty much it. What are your thoughts, Corey?
I think you covered it all. That was great.
Awesome. Oh, I think there's some questions here.
Yeah. I think this
Okay.
one
Or is
is,
that different? Is that CG?
yeah, exactly. Chuck's got the question and wanted us to look at the site. So let's pull that up. Can you actually do that since you've got the screen share going so well?
Yeah, let's
And
do
then
it.
we can check this question as well. Here's the URL, and let's see. So the question, I'll just go ahead and read it. The challenge is that my homepage is ranking great, but my local landing pages are not. I also have the challenge that Google prioritizes local businesses over mine. So, for example, if you search from the UK, I am page 1, position 3 for Bahamas wedding photographer. But if you search from the US, I'm nowhere. Is there a trick to rank for people searching from the US, for example? That's a great topic.
Yeah. More authority. It's like the only way you're going to out leverage people that are much more relevant than yourself is by telling Google that you are the destination photographer. Like you would need major press, worldwide press, saying that like CG Weddings is the absolute best destination wedding photographer for the Bahamas. Uh, and then they have no or like no other result that they can give. They can't be giving local photographers because CG is way better. Um, so that's very difficult, obviously. So there aren't any like real tricks for faking that. Um, yeah, that's hard.
What are the things that give some examples of maybe people who you've seen who have done that, or methods that you could use to start building that authority, or kind of like what's required to get to that level?
Yeah, I would say there are a small handful of photographers, like the Jonas Petersons, or I mean, even that, like I'm trying to think of like a few other names, but there are very few names that have received enough press, especially press outside of the wedding industry, that Google thinks that they should rank for other well-established locations that have like local photographers offering their services there. They have people from closer countries offering their services. It just has to. It's pretty overwhelming. If I was targeting that, I'd be hiring a PR firm probably. like, I, outside of that, like winning as many awards as possible, um, trying to do outreach to, uh, I guess like publications outside of the wedding industry would be key. So if you could nail a news story about one of your couples and like craft some beautiful story of why their marriage is super unique, and get that in like the New York Times or something, that would really help.
What do you think about it if you really, really wanted to rank for Bahamas?
Yeah.
Would it be worthwhile to? I mean, like, okay, there's a couple of options I think of. I'm just trying to put myself in this position and say, if I wanted that to be a huge part of my business, actually scroll back up for a sec.
Yeah.
Uh, go back down to that next section. Destination wedding photographer, based in London, covering UK, Europe, worldwide. If you are okay, first of all, if you're a destination wedding photographer, in my opinion, SEO should not be your primary driver of leads. Probably, you're most likely going to be getting the majority of your leads from social from referrals, from press or features, from referrals from planners and other vendors, things like that. That's my initial thought. I'm not a destination wedding photographer, but the ones that I've talked to, it seems like they're not primarily getting their leads from Google. That doesn't mean you can't get them, but it is important to, like what Dylan's saying, if there's other people who dedicate their entire business to being a wedding photographer in the Bahamas, then why should Google prioritize your site? You have to give them a good reason, right? If there's, let's say, 20 businesses that's all they do is weddings in the Bahamas, and like they're actually very good at it, and they have a good reputation and good reviews and lots of links, and like what how are you going to break into that? One thought is, if I were trying to do that, I wonder if I would be thinking about two things. One, I would probably pick a couple of like really high priority destinations. So if Bahamas is one of them, then I would probably create a significant amount of content about getting married in the Bahamas and my experience there. I don't know. It would not just be the weddings that I've photographed there. It would be more of a guide. I would want to be known as the person who has the best insight about getting married in the Bahamas. If you added that to a site that's a destination wedding photography site, maybe it would help. I can't say for sure, but maybe you could reach some of the longer tail keywords, the things that people are asking, like really specific questions about getting married in the Bahamas, or specific venues in the Bahamas, or if there's some really specific insight that you have that might be unique or that's not happening as part of the online conversation about weddings in the Bahamas, and you can add that might help you rank for some of those things. But I guess all of that to ask, what do you think about creating a completely separate website for a destination like that? Would you ever do something like that, Dylan?
Yeah, I would consider a different brand and website if it was like a major goal of mine.
Yeah,
for sure.
I feel like it's an unrealistic expectation to think I'm going to be able to rank in every major destination in the world. Like that's just there are a few photographers who you might see on a lot of the big destinations, and like Dylan said, it generally comes from notoriety, from authority, from they're probably educators in the photography space. They are probably getting some sort of national press. They're probably brand ambassadors for very large companies like the big camera brands, or the biggest software brands for photographers, and they have links on all of those sites, and so you might see it occasionally, but in general it's not a very realistic expectation unless you are going to try to go all in on a specific location.
Cool. Overall, I like the site though.
Yeah, tell us some about the site. You've been scrolling around and kind of looking. I've been rambling.
Yeah, heading structure looks great overall. I've been through a few pages. That's looking good. Decent. Like I like this Bahamas guide. I can't remember, maybe comment, but is this guide ranking well? Is it driving significant traffic to the Bahamas? How has it been going for you? Brand new. Awesome.
Yeah, I would love to see how that does. It looks pretty comprehensive, or it looks very well organized.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Dylan, on what's your opinion on something like this?
Yeah.
If you're trying to make this a big part of your business, is that sort of guide, do you want to build out more pages, or do you want to keep it all in one page? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. So I think you bring up a really good question. As I was scrolling through this, I did feel like some of the pages on their like posts on their own, separate content. You could still have a guide that links to all of them and kind of has an overview. But like this locations guide for where to get married in the Bahamas, I'd rather see that a more expansive list on its own page.
With photos.
Exactly. And like more information about each venue, locations, how many people they fit, what amenities they offer, etc.
Right.
And the same with the rest of these, like, I would love to know more about the different planners that are available, Efficients, all like these main vendor types maybe have their own guide.
Yep.
Um,
I like having this as the hub though, like
for sure.
link to the, like even have that list, pretty simplified bullet list of locations, and then at the bottom of that be like, see my full location guide, and people can easily click that and go to more information.
Yep. This where to stay. I was like, oh yes, this is gonna be awesome. Like great information about the different hotels, and then like I couldn't find any of that information. Um, so yeah, I think just continue building that out. Consider making it separate sub smaller topic guides. I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, and it takes time. That looks like a really good starting point for this, especially if that's brand new. You've got the right idea. It's just keep building that out. I think you do have a chance. And again, remember to sort of look for. I don't want to encourage people to do too much keyword research, but we do want to do research around the conversations that are happening on this topic online, right? So keyword research is part of that, but it's also forum research, Reddit research, YouTube video research. You know, are there people out there who are doing um, tour or vacation planning guides for the Bahamas? Can you go check out those videos and look in the comments and scan those for questions? Which, by the way, you can use AI to do that now, so you can cut down on the time that it takes. You could just paste in the link to a URL of a YouTube video and say, summarize the questions people are asking in the comments, and you should be able to get back some pretty interesting responses for that. That's the kind of thing that I think is critical. It's what is the conversation that's being had right now, and how can I add to that, especially if there's things that are missing. If people are really having a hard time finding information online and you can present it to them in a clear way that's really easy to consume, I think that's going to do very well with Google.
Yep. And then Chuck, yeah, I think you did. I saw that huge jump and thought that that must have been your redirect. I would say that the authority needed to rank really, really well from London for places like the Bahamas is probably going to be a little bit higher. So just keep working on getting more backlinks and building that authority as you go. And I say that without doing that much research on that topic, but I'm thinking that it'll need a little bit more.
Yeah, I think Google is somewhat unfortunately going to put a heavy emphasis on locals. So if they're doing the business from the Bahamas, I think that they will get a significant advantage there.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's understandable
sense.
for most markets, but I think in this kind of thing, for people who are going to a destination to get married, I think that they expect people to travel in. So I don't know. It would be nice if Google had that sort of like really specific fine tuning for our industry, but it's kind of unreasonable to expect that they would, considering that they have to build algorithms that cover, millions of different markets. So kind of have to do with what we have.
Yep.
Who else? Anybody have a site they want us to look at, or any follow-up questions, any topics that you want us to cover? You could think of it like website review, or you could think of it like chilling with us on the podcast and just being part of the conversation. Let us know what you have. All right, got a final question here. I can actually share it on the screen. There we go.
Nice.
Moving to Marbella and just create a landing page for it. Would you consider making that the home page? If you're moving there, probably, maybe. What do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, so Marbella, let's look. I don't know how like competitive Marbella is going to be. And that's like southern Spain, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And also like, is it going to be American searching? Probably not.
Oh yeah, we didn't really touch on that. Like what
Yeah.
if you're trying to target Americans searching for
Spain.
something in Spain, for example? Is there anything you can do to increase that?
Yeah, I mean I'm trying to think if like localization of your website's going to matter there as far as like setting the like if you're English but UK, are you going to be an expected result for somebody that's English in the US? Probably not as much. yeah, I don't know. Like, would you want to set your location to English US? Would that matter if Google still knows that your business is based in London or Marbella? I don't know. Uh, it's a hard one to trick. I think that the intent or the result that Google's going to want to show is going to match more or less the location of the searcher more closely with the location of the result. Typically, that's a better result. But um, in regards to Spain, it looks like there's some volume for wedding photographers in Marbella from Spanish people. Um, could you rank here with just a landing page? Probably. I would try that first. Just because I don't know if Marbella is a large enough destination for you to base your whole business off of that, or if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that's kind of the question in my mind. It's like if you're
Exactly.
moving there and you want to do the majority of your weddings there, then I would probably go all in with it, right? Like go homepage, try to really take advantage of now that you're a local, you get that advantage, right? Get the address verified,
Yep.
make it your thing. But if it's
Andreas
not
is in
big
our group.
enough and you want to do everything else, then maybe not.
Yeah. Andreas is in our group. Good guy. Reach out to him. Okay, so you're by Gibraltar. Cool. Malaga. There's some really good photographers in this area. Yeah, I definitely think it's worthwhile to create the landing page, create the local presence. That's cool. Should be a good move. Beautiful area.
Yeah, that looks like it'll be a nice place to live. Okay, any other sites anybody wants us to look at? Yeah, hopefully that's at least some insight for you. I know it's not like there's not like necessarily a solid here's exactly how you do it, but that's kind of the game here. We have to figure out the strategy for your business and look at the landscape and the reality of search and try to figure out how you can fit into that as best possible. Dylan, do we have any other websites from the people who posted in the event?
We do. Let me check those out right now.
Because maybe they'll come back and watch the replay even if they're not here live. If you are here live and you have any other topics or website you'd like us to look at, drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
I'll double check on the Facebook and YouTube just to see if any of the comments are not coming through here.
Cool. Gosh, getting back to that event is so hard sometimes. Where is it?
Oh, we have another comment here. Nandini posted a website. Let's see.
Perfect.
Can you see it, Dylan, or do you want me to give you the link?
I was searching for the event, but yeah,
Here, I dropped it in Discord for you.
Perfect, thank you.
See what other comments we have that might not have come through.
All right, Timeless Creatives.
I hate the live comments on Facebook where it only shows you like the most recent ones, and there's not even an option for me to show all comments. I can't click on the video and get them. I can't. It's such a bad setup. Dang it. So frustrating.
Yeah, I need to spend some time getting Streamlabs set up so I can have the actual comment feed and everything like just in that and have control.
Yeah, Crystal, that's fine. Just catch a replay, or we're going to try to do this more often. We're going to try to make it a regular thing. I think we'll see how it goes. But we're at least going to try a few weeks, and we'll do a little bit better of making sure that everybody knows about it. Today we're kind of testing. We're testing some new software and just trying to see what kind of format we want. But we're happy that you're here. And if you have any thoughts or questions or just want to talk about anything, let us know.
Yeah. All right. So Timeless Tales Creatives. Let's check this out. First check of the title. I like this Edmonton-based wedding photographer. What's your theory on how that would go head to head against people optimizing just for Edmonton wedding photographer?
My theory is that it's probably at this point with Google not that big of a deal, but if I'm being like really picky, I would still go with the classic just Edmonton wedding photographer. But I think that Google has a lot of capabilities, and they usually get a lot of things right. It's very, very good. The algorithms are so tuned, and the AI that they're using is very good. But my whole opinion is the more opportunities that we give them to potentially make a mistake, the more likely they are to make a mistake. So if we
Yeah,
can give it to them in such a way that there is no possibility of making a mistake, then they won't make a mistake, right? Like the
yeah,
confidence score will be 100 instead of 98. Like maybe they're
exactly.
like 98% sure that Edmonton-based wedding photographer is the same as Edmonton wedding photographer, but I want it to be 100. So
Yeah,
I'm just going to give them the
and just
100%.
make it easy on them is my whole vibe. It's just like I don't want them to have to parse like what's the meaning of this image or what's the meaning of this section. I just want to
Yeah.
tell them, make it so clear.
Yeah, and I
All right.
think if you're trying to get across the idea that you're based there, but you're willing to also serve areas outside of that location, do that with your H1. Make your title Edmonton wedding photographer, and use some other variation on other parts of your page. Make sure that you're letting people know that you also serve other areas within your copy. But in this particular instance, like the title tag really is meant for things like showing up in search results and sharing on social and things like that. And for that, you want to be very, very clear.
Yep. Uh, Going on to the meta description, I don't care as much about meta descriptions these days, but I still care a little bit. And I don't think you really need to just repeat your title in the meta description. It's kind of giving up some valuable real estate. Um, Keep in mind that this meta description is not used for actual ranking considerations or uh, like evaluation. It's just telling people why they should click on your site. I do like that you listed the different types of weddings that you specialize in, and I'm wondering if you could do that in a more conversational way. This feels just like here's a list. Do with it what you want. Um, and I think you could maybe spend some time on the copy just to really try to figure out a few sentences that would explain the services that you offer in a better way. Um, Looking next, I like one thing that I see often on consults are so people would be targeting Edmonton wedding photographer. They'll have it in their title and their H1 somewhere, but it's not that visible. I'd say that that's kind of the case. Um, I had to look for this. It's hard. I wish that the Edmonton wedding photographer was more clear, maybe a little bit larger, but it's positioned well, so I think that's okay.
So I've been telling people recently when it comes to an H1, I really want to make this clear. The value of an H1 is not the HTML tag.
Right.
The value of an H1 is how it is typically used, which is the largest text at the top of the page.
But
Okay.
it's big.
That's why an H1 is valuable, not because of the HTML tag. You don't get to cheat and put it really tiny somewhere else down the page and still get the same benefit because you used your H1 and optimized it correctly. That's not how SEO works, in my opinion, and pretty much every opinion of anyone that I've ever heard from Google talking about it.
Yeah.
And they talk about it a lot. This is one of those topics that's very well covered in Webmaster Hangouts, and pretty much every single time someone's asking this question, like, if I do this to my H1, does it still count? And they're like, listen, make it clear. This is for accessibility. This is for usability. This is for just like clarity of topic. Put it large and at the top of the page. And they'll tell you it doesn't matter if it's in a paragraph tag or an H2 tag or whatever. If it's large and at the top of the page, it's going to benefit you significantly. Google's going to weigh that fairly heavily. So I'm just saying that because I want people to know that in this case, I do feel like this is a decent compromise if you are really wanting to emphasize certain sort of uh, brand statement or positioning statement or some way to connect with a visitor, like your story told like never before. That's like something that's really important to the branding and how you're about to lead them into the rest of the copy. At least you're including Edmonton wedding photographer there near the top of the page. So when I land on this page, I can see it right away. I'm not confused about where I am. I think that is decently useful for a visitor. I'm just trying to say, I wanted to clarify that because it comes up for me quite a bit when people are asking about their H1 and like, can I put it down here and make it smaller? And I'm like, you can,
No.
but it's just not the same. It's not the same
Yeah.
benefit.
Uh, Here, heading structure, this is a common mistake I see on show it sites where the nav items are in heading tags. You don't want that. So go in, you can keep the design exactly the same. You just can change the HTML tag for each individual uh, item in your navigation and pull them out of headings. Corey, would you recommend doing nav tags for the individual items, or is that just for the nav bar itself?
The individual items where? Which ones were
Uh,
you mentioning?
like the About Us portfolio investment, the individual navigation links.
I don't actually know. I have to look up
Yeah,
the standards for HTML. That's a pretty clear cut question though. Like I think if you
yeah,
Googled how to label navigation items
yep.
and just like or type in HTML
Let's do it.
standard or something like that, there you go. Or ask ChatGPT
I know.
would have
It's
a
going to
great.
compare.
Dylan, run this for a second. I need to run inside. I'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Cool, perfect. So yeah, this is what I thought. The navigation tag is for the overall navigation element, like the whole section, and not the individual items. Uh, so you can make sure that your nav is in a navigational tag. That's going to probably be difficult on show it. So just pull these out of headings, have them regular paragraph or just a div, anything like that, just not in headings. A lot of this brand copy, I think I would pull out of headings as well. So your story told like never before, pull that out of the H2 and H3. You can leave the styling the same. Same with probably some of this. It's fine. The rest of your headings are fine. I did kind of think that I would almost restructure the order of your homepage. Um, Trying to think what I like here. I love the section where it was more about meeting you two, and I'm wondering if I would want to bring that up further because this feels like marketing jargon text, where it's just kind of saying stuff that a lot of wedding photography sites say, but this is like real. It's about you guys. It's pretty cool. I like this section. Testimonials, call to action. I would almost consider bringing these important resources up, especially if you really want them to rank. I like your footer. Your footer's so cute.
I like that GIF in the
Yeah,
bottom there.
that's awesome. Super cool.
What did you find out about the nav? I
Yeah,
missed it.
I was 99% sure on that, and it's the nav section itself should be in the nav tag, but the
Mhm.
individual item should just be like in an item list or.
I think that's a show it issue. I think that
Yep.
this must be a show it site, right?
Yeah, it is.
Look, but they give you that HTML element drop down, and one of the options is nav. And I've actually told people before that you can use that tag on the nav elements because I
Yeah,
mean I
I'm
thought
sure
that
it's
was the
fine.
whole point of why they put it in there, but it may be that they put it there and they were misinformed about how to use it, but that's fine. It's not like it's
Yeah,
going to hurt you or anything. It's
for sure.
probably not good to put that on other elements like down on your page,
Yeah, I've
like
seen that.
buttons
Like,
and stuff.
yep, I've seen people do that. Put it on all of the calls to action or something.
Hmm.
I think last thing I would consider would be creating WordPress pages for your main show it pages, and then applying this design to a blog theme, and then running it all through WordPress. That can clean up things like your main uh, SEO meta tags and being able to use plugins site wide. Quite a few other benefits.
Yeah. We got a few more viewers here. So if you're here now and you just tuned in, if you have a website that you'd like us to look at, all you have to do is just drop it in the comments. Or if you have any other topics, we're here to chat about SEO, answer questions. You can ask us to look at keyword research for you in our in Ahrefs or SEMrush. You can ask us to check out some technical thing that you're having a problem with or didn't understand from a report. Any of those things are fair game. So drop in the comments if you have anything like that. And What's up, Nelia? Um, Glad you're here. I know you are familiar with you show up at the office hours quite a bit, so you know the drill. This one's just kind of a live version for everyone, so that we can talk to people in the main Facebook group.
We have two more sites from the event that we haven't looked at yet.
Okay, pull it up.
I'm pulling up Galaxy Photo. All right, this one's fun. It poses some interesting SEO challenges.
Okay.
What SEO challenges would you think of when you see the brand Galaxy Photo?
The fact that Galaxy is not spelled the way that people might think Galaxy is spelled when they search for it.
Yeah, that's definitely one for sure. I would also think that it's, I guess,
People
that's so
looking
hard.
for pictures of galaxies.
Yeah, like, is it going to autocorrect everybody to Galaxy spelled correctly photo and like assume that every person on Earth is looking for photos of like the Milky Way?
Let's try it. Galaxy photo. Yeah,
Somebody just
it
asked
did.
about G, Google Analytics 4. We can definitely go over that. I'd love to cover that in this video.
Yeah. Hang on, I'm
Okay.
stealing your screen share for just a second.
Oh, do it.
Yeah.
There we go. That's galaxies.
So that's
That's
pretty much what
unfortunate.
we would expect. And it's going to be quite the challenge to overcome that with this particular brand. We've seen it quite a few times. For me, I remember seeing a few people who used a brand name that was like a common lyric from a popular song. And I was like, oh, you're going to have a hard time because any time someone types that in, it's going to give them the song. Or, there's some other brand or business or poem. I've even seen poems like they just use something from a poem, but every time Google gives back that being able to be more authoritative. Basically what Google is doing when they're returning a set of results is saying what we think that they probably mean by that query, based on all of the things that we know that people probably mean when they type things similar to that. And so they'll give you back what they think is the the most likely thing that you're searching for. If you can get to a point with Galaxy Photo where Google realizes that the majority of people who type it in exactly like that actually want to find your brand, then you can start to show up at the top of that particular search if people get your brand name spelled correctly and things like that. I mean, I'm looking now, and at that same search I had pulled up there, like everything for pages and pages is just photos of galaxies. So just know that you might think branded search isn't that important, but in the long term, it can be very important. We've seen some search consoles where the brand name gets more search volume than all of the main keywords in their area, or where people just they have a lot of referrals, and when referrals go out and people say you should check out Galaxy Photo, they're like, well, what's the domain? I don't really remember. And especially, this one's another issue is the TLD is not .com. So they're, even if they knew how it was spelled and they like try to go to galaxyphoto.com, there's a lot of potential for people getting confused on this brand. I don't want to be like completely discouraging. It's cool, but and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's your name. I'm not sure what else there is. I don't know the context of the brand, but just know that it is likely to cause quite a few headaches when it comes to really making sure that Google knows what you mean, what
So
people
cute.
mean. Nice.
Yeah, totally. And I agree with pretty much everything you just said. Outside of that, let's look. I saw that the homepage title, it says homepage. I think I would pull that out. I'm wondering if that's just being appended by the SEO plugin that you're using, which it looks like it's Rank Math. So check that and just maybe make sure that you're not appending homepage unintentionally. Let's look at heading structure. I like this. H1 is 5-star Michigan wedding photographer. That's a nice like little play on the typical Michigan wedding photographer H1, adding in the 5 stars. It'd be even cooler if you linked to maybe your Google business profile from that and it was linking directly to a 5-star rated profile. That'd be
Right.
awesome.
Prove it.
Yeah, exactly. Show your work. All right, let's see. This is good. I like the highlights. These are nice. clean work.
Ben,
Like,
Ben,
yeah,
you're in our membership or in our course, right? I'm pretty sure. If so, sorry to interrupt, Dylan, but
yeah,
just
go for it.
the question here about backlinks, don't have backlinks, don't know if it's a mental block, just need to commit to putting in the time, can't get motivated to do it. I highly recommend if you are in the membership, jump in on the office hours calls that I've been setting up. I'm doing 3 a week right now. For June, I've committed to 3 a week, and I may continue it. It's been going well so far. But there's been a few people who have been showing up to like at least once a week, and I can give you some assignments. Like we can go in and look in SEMrush or Ahrefs and get some specific backlinks for you, and I can give you some ideas on how to potentially get those backlinks and say, here, go get this and come back to me next week and tell me how it went. And if
Right.
you want that kind of help with motivation and kind of staying on task, that's available to you. If you don't know how to get into it, just message me or something like that, and I can make sure you have the link. But it's in our. If you log into your course dashboard, there should be a link there that says to go to the community, and then there's a whole tab there that's like live/office hours, and then you can see the schedule and RSVP and just show up and be happy to do that kind of thing. Yes, Chuck, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything you want to like, what we're doing right now is like, let's, spend 10, 15 minutes on a site and kind of like give people some quick insight, because we know that a lot of people just need some really quick thoughts. But if you really want to dig in and you're in the membership, or if you purchased the course in the past, you're in the membership at this point. So if you want to jump in, I'm there to help people as much as they need help. And like I said, I'm doing 3 days a week for an hour, and that's open to whoever shows up. Usually it's like 5 to 10 people who show up. A lot of people there just to kind of listen and hang out. But if you also want one-on-one help, then you can, the same kind of thing. If you have something like that where you want us to look at something and give you an assignment, we can do that. Yeah, they're open. So come on in, and we'd love to have you there. All right, we'll go back to your site, Dylan. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. So I think just a few more tips for the Galaxy Photo. I checked out the blog, and I think there's just more opportunities. If you have all of Michigan to write about, I want to see more than the 3 posts here. I think the quickest win and the easiest low-hanging fruit would be targeting something like Michigan wedding venues. And then if you have a more targeted location, I don't know what part of Michigan you're in, if you're in the Detroit area, if you're Upper Peninsula, or what part, making a guide for those as well. That would be like, if you wanted to triple your site traffic in 90 days, I would say that's how you do it. Like you just concentrate on getting those venue guides up. Once you have those other vendor guides, individual venues, just start pumping out some content, because it looks like you've been shooting weddings for a while. You have really great work, and I'm sure you have a lot of insight to share. Awesome. Here's Ben's site. So Ben was saying he needs inspiration on backlinks. Cool. All right, Kitchener. All right, so it looks like maybe he's been on a few podcasts, has a lot of blog spots, a few Squarespace sites.
Yeah, Shannon,
Yeah.
we are trying to work on making that more known. That you're not, don't feel silly, because we've just recently started experimenting with kind of what the office hours look like, and I actually just made a page inside of the membership. I don't even know if I put it in the dashboard yet. I think I shared it in the community, but it gives like a list of questions that I encourage you to ask on the office hours calls, because a lot of times people jump in and they're like, I don't know what to ask. And I gave a whole bunch of ideas for like, here, ask these questions. I promise this is going to be helpful. If you just like show up and you can use this script and just ask it, and we'll look at it together. And I really think it's going to be helpful for more people. So we are trying to let people know about that. So glad you know about it now, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Nice. All right. So as far as, did you want to give Ben any tips on backlinks while we're here?
Let's see. I feel like that's something where I would really want to dig in a little bit more and get more context. That's going to take some time with like researching with the tool. So I don't know that I have anything like off the top of my head here.
Yeah,
Like I said, I think that's probably more suited for the regular office hours. Just feel free to jump in there and ask anytime, and I'll be happy to look up some stuff for you.
perfect. All right, we have another post from the event.
Maybe one more quick note there. The
Sure.
course also has, if you haven't looked at it, I know a lot of people don't seem to make it to this part of the course for some reason, but we have a backlink guide or a set of lessons in the course itself. That there's a few of them that are basically like mini courses. There's one about guest posting. There's one about being a guest on podcasts.
Yep.
Those are pretty in depth. Like the guest posting one, like gives you scripts for reaching out to people, and there's all kinds of information in here. I do know that some of them are based on like that was using SEMrush. Again, if you want us to use it for you, that kind of report takes like 5 minutes to run. That's what
Great.
I do in the office hours. Like jump in there, I'll give you the report back if you need it. So yeah, definitely check
Exactly.
out the lessons there for some other points if you haven't got to it yet.
All right, this is the other event domain that we had left to go. This is Mary Belize, and she is an award-winning birth photographer from Palm Beach County, Florida. All right, so I'm sure that this title is targeting birth photographer South Florida. I like the award-winning, adding that to the front. I've been playing with something like that on my own site, and I think that it does help. Let's see, what's she built on here? Show it. Okay, contact. So this contact is going straight to a mail to. So this is. What are your thoughts on that, Corey? Do you like contact buttons that open up new emails?
No.
I don't
I
like them
just don't
either.
like mail to feature, period. I never, ever use it.
Right. I I've
Since like
never
1998 when I had Outlook Express or something.
exactly. I've never set up like the mail client on my computer to actually open to the right spot
Right?
and like to the right
It
email
just makes
address.
me
So like
angry.
this is annoying.
Yeah.
It's like welcome to mail. Please add an account. And I'm like,
I'm like, wait, what?
I'm not doing
I
this.
use Gmail.
So you're pretty much forcing people to like right click it if they think of this and hit copy email address and then open up their actual inbox and send you a message. I would change that to a contact form. Okay, home, that's looking good. Portfolio. So the portfolio is the URL of the portfolio is portfolio-mary-belize-south-florida-birth-photographer. So that's pretty much going to be competing one-to-one, head-to-head against the homepage. I would just simplify that to portfolio. Same with about. That's Meet Mary, South Florida birth photographer. Rip that out of the URL, just make it about Mary Belize, about anything like that. Blog is just blog, though this is like a very common issue with Show It Nav, where it's linking to blog without a trailing slash at the end of the URL, and then it's having to redirect to blog with the trailing slash because the WordPress blog always has the slash at the end. So I like to make a custom link in the nav that has that slash. And then finally, birth services. I'm really afraid that this birth services page is going to be going into very much the same topics that should be covered on the homepage. So this, I don't know, it should probably be the same content that is on the homepage. I don't know if this would be different because the only services that your site seems to be based on are birth photography services. So it's very much the same content. General heading structure looks okay, actually. Not bad.
real quick, if you're just tuning in, feel free to drop in your website if you'd like us to take a look. We are about to wrap things up here in a few more minutes, but I know we've got quite a few more people who kind of showed up at the tail end of this. So if you have questions or if you want us to check out your website, we still have time maybe to do one more. So drop it in the chat there and let us know. We'll also probably be doing this again next Friday. We might change the time slightly. But that's the goal at least, and we'll post about it in the group and let you guys know. Sorry,
Yeah.
Dylan, to interrupt
Oh,
again.
you're totally fine. Overall, the site looks great. Yeah, I'm looking at the blog content. I think the biggest thing to watch out for is to not target the same topics that you're already optimizing a main page like your homepage for or another blog post. So this South Florida birth photographer, very much the same topic as your homepage. So maybe changing the overall optimization of this post. It's going to be hard because I'm sure all of your birth stories are very much birth stories in South Florida, but you're going to have to just think of different ways to title them, different URLs, maybe different topics to write about, and then maybe do more supporting like educational content around any of the other topics related to birth and childbirth and pregnancy that you might be able to cover on your blog. Do you have any thoughts, Corey?
I was looking away for most of it, just kind of
Oh,
like
you're
looking
totally
up the
fine.
comments and stuff. So it
Nice.
sounded
No
like
worries.
the stuff you mentioned though were really great tips.
Good. All right, let's see what else we have here.
We got a question, and we've got a site here. You want to pull up this outwestelopements.com?
Yeah.
And then let's look at this question from Shannon as well. I'm really focusing on Sedona weddings and elopements. In your opinion, should I switch my main page to that instead of Arizona? And I know that we talked about this in the content workshop or last time when we were talking. But I cannot remember all of the context and it's kind of like what the site was doing. I feel like that's something where I would want to look back at Search Console and see like what the current rankings are for both with your respective pages and what the competition is looking like. It's hard to really know that for sure, but it is likely that if that is your primary focus, that switching your homepage to that is going to make it more likely for you to rank for those terms. That's just most likely. If with the most general information that I can give, I think that's what I would say. So yeah, that is the question is if you switch to your homepage, will your landing page that's currently ranking for Sedona, are you going to lose Arizona? You know, it's probably harder to switch to a Arizona landing page. I don't know. I mean, I think I've seen people. We have one guy who recently kind of did something like this and switched. There was an internal page that was ranking, switched to the home page, and it's been maybe 6 weeks or something like that. And then Google still hasn't like he lost the ranking that he had before for that internal page because he removed it or redirected it, but they haven't like put the new homepage in its place. It can happen. It can be risky. You can lose some of your rankings by switching things around, at least in the short term. In the long term, which I'm always trying to think long term whenever I'm thinking about SEO. I think that it's probably it sounds like it aligns with your business goals, and that if you were to really go heavily in that direction, it would probably be a good thing. All right, Dylan, you've got a few things
I
to
know.
look at there, so I'll let
Okay.
you run with it.
Yeah, we're going to slam these really fast because I know Corey's time limited.
I've
Okay.
got a few minutes,
You
but
got
we
okay,
want to,
good. Good, good, good. All right. So, Alina, definitely familiar with your site as we've looked at it quite a bit. I would say the largest issue that's impacting it's just Pixie Set in general. Pixie Set caused issues. I would, if you can, I think that long term, I would just look to maybe get on a different platform. But for now, let's see what you've done and what we can fix. You definitely have a lot more content than I remember. Let us know if you've added more to this site since we last talked, because it looks like the homepage is a lot more built out. Yeah, wow, tons of content. I think in general, one of the biggest struggles is just Pixieset's homepage title. Having it just show Utah elopement photographer and not have your brand is not the best, but I think Google's working with it okay. I don't know if I like how this font changes colors, where it says serving all of the West Coast in black, and all of this is in that gray. This is cool. Maybe having your name here so it says meet Alina and then your elopement photographer, just to like really like it. I don't love that it intros you, but it doesn't show your name until down here. That's fine. Contact. This button's a little bit small and kind of just hanging out by itself. I think I'd almost prefer, if it's possible with your design, to stack these side by side, where you have the image and then you have the call to action over here to talk about contacting you. These are great images. Cool testimonials. It's not really apparent that these are clickable. It looks like these might go to full. Oh, that's weird. It took me to the top of the page. Oh, that just took me to a gallery. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine. That looks good. Everything I see on the homepage looks like a good homepage. I think that this should rank just fine. Do you have any thoughts on it, Corey?
Again, I think you covered what I would really say
No
here.
worries.
It's so tricky. I was talking to someone else this week about Pixieset, and they were really disappointed to hear that Pixieset might make it difficult to rank. They're like, I just did all this work on my site, and I really don't want to move. And is it really going to be a problem? And I can tell you with very high level of confidence that Pixieset does not have any plans to prioritize SEO. I talked with the CEO, talked with some other people in the company, and I know that it's not a priority. Like when we were having the conversation, it was like, yeah, well, that's really not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to make sites for people who are trying to use it for ranking, and like, it just was not a priority. Now maybe things have changed. That might have been, it was last year sometime. They also have like a company-wide mantra of moving slow, which is not necessarily what I want for my website platform. Unfortunately, that's just not. I think for their overall company, it's a great company. It's got some really cool features, and their galleries are nice, and they like listen to their the people who give them feedback. But for a website platform, I just don't want someone moving slow. I want someone who is going to keep up with web trends, who is going to. The web is about to change drastically. Okay. I've been talking about this a lot. In fact, Dylan and I are hoping to record a podcast here in just a little bit about AI and the future of websites and the future of search and things like that. Things are going to change drastically. And I think that any site platform that is not paying attention to that is not one that I would want to be on at all. So, I'm Showit and Squarespace and Pixieset. All of those they're really trying to make it so that you can build a pretty portfolio site for the kind of standards that we've been expecting from websites for the past decade, right? They're not looking forward to the next decade. You look at WordPress and Webflow and a lot of the newer platforms that are out there, they're thinking, okay, what kind of data points do we need to have so that these websites can integrate to other software and APIs and the new, the future of search and all of these kinds of things? That's where I would want to be personally. So it's just to say, I hate to tell people like, look, your platform's limiting you, and to say like, you can't get results with this. It's not that. Like, I think you're doing a good job with optimizing what you have here, and that's about the best you can do. And I don't think that it's impossible to rank with something like this. But just in the long term, if you're planning on, like, you've already got a little content library going here, man, that's an asset, and I would want to protect that asset and make sure that it is in the best place possible so that it's going to serve me for a long time. So anyway, those are just quick platform thoughts that I always like to share.
Totally agree. We had an interesting question that was somewhat related,
Okay.
and they're asking about, is it okay for speed/SEO to have so much content on the homepage? And I would say yes, it is more than okay. Most photography sites, especially like older school photography sites that were maybe built 5+ years ago, the homepage would just have like a slideshow of images and maybe say like the name of the photographer and like maybe like you might have talked somebody into including like the location they're targeting, and that was it. And then people started to add like a little quirky about section, and that was it. And then like an Instagram footer, and so like they would have almost no content on the homepage. Uh, in general, the more content I've added to homepages, the better they've ranked, especially if it's really relevant, like testimonials and uh, really great like value props and just really driving more relevance to that area and that location that you're targeting. So in general, photographers probably should look to add more relevant content to their homepages. As far as speed goes, if it's images, you just want to make sure that those images are lazy loaded. So anything below the fold isn't loading until they start to scroll. Most web platforms these days offer that, especially since browsers have like very easy built-in lazy loading now. So it's not much of a speed consideration for most sites. So you should be fine to build more content.
Cool. You want to look at another site?
Yeah, let's do
We had
it.
a couple of questions in there too. One from Ben about the about page. Did you respond to that? No, I don't think so.
So I responded to it in the comment, but
Okay.
I'll just show like my site real fast, not my dashboard. There we go. Okay, so in my case, my brand is my personal name, so I can just have about and Dylan M. Howell Photography. I don't need to do anything else here. I just want to make it very clear that this about page is just about me. If my brand was like Purple Carrot Photography or something, then I would say about Purple Carrot Photography / Dylan Howell or Dylan M. Howell, just in case if people know me as my personal name, they might Google like Dylan Howell Photography. They might not know my brand, and this would kind of link the two quite well. That's my only consideration for about page titles.
Cool. I agree.
Awesome. All right, we have a few questions. Let's really quickly get into Google Analytics 4. We've had a bunch of questions in the group about this. I just want to show really fast. I'll just show on my site. Okay, so you probably are getting this huge red banner at the top of your Google Analytics.
Or when I logged in last, I had like a countdown timer that was like
Yeah,
a pop up
you have
that was like,
17 days or
yeah.
whatever. Okay, I think this is just completely broken. I've gone through this on a countless number of sites so far. So I'm in my GA4 property. It's saying 0 of 7 of these steps have been marked complete. I have tried to do this many times on many sites. My data is flowing. I don't need to manage this anymore. Everything is set up right there. It's collecting data, but I still cannot mark this as complete.
Yeah.
Um,
Basically, it's broken. It's actually really simple. Follow the tutorial, the steps,
yeah,
and do what it says, and you'll probably be able to set it up and ignore all the other messages. Almost,
exactly.
almost that's all there is. Like, look and
Like
see if there's data coming through. If there's data coming through, you probably did it right, and
for sure.
that's almost all there is to it.
So if I go through and mark all of these as complete, it should be good now. But like Corey said, it's just not really allowing you to completely complete the setup. So
Yeah, this is not unusual for things like this. Whenever there's transitions and beta and all that kind of stuff, we see this kind of thing all the time. They're covering their they want to send out as many messages as possible to try to let people know about this so that they don't have major um, liabilities for people who like rely on analytics who didn't know about it. They can't say, I didn't know about this. They're giving them pop-ups, they're giving them banners, they're giving them emails. They really need to get it out to everyone. But unfortunately for all the small people who have already like done what they need to do, it's still very intimidating. If you're having specific issues, that's the kind of thing I would love to see posted in the group. Just let us know, like, this isn't working. I followed the steps and I'm not getting any data in here. If you're seeing the messages that say it's not set up completely, it's probably just an error. But if you're seeing that it's not working, let us know, and that might be something that we could analyze. Or there's probably some tools we can use like to check to see if the pixel is firing on your site or whatever. The code is working correctly. So
exactly. Yeah. And the biggest thing is if you're in your GA4 property, look at the real-time report, have somebody go to your site or go to your site, see if it is actually showing users.
Make sure they're not using an ad blocker. I was using the Brave browser and tried this yesterday, and I was like, oh, it's blocking all analytics.
Gosh, classic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's speed run some sites.
Let's look at real quick. I want to look at this one right here. I don't know if you have it up, and I don't have the name attached to it in here. Let's go back and see. That's Inga.
Inga's cool.
I like this question about the Search Console that's only showing 3 to 4 of the links that they have when they have about 30. What do you think about that?
Totally. So, gosh. Okay, hers is Rosy Maple. Let's just take a peek. All right, so quick thoughts. It's been a while since I've really paid attention to my Search Console link reports. I used to watch them like every day, checking for like the latest feature that I know I got a green wedding shoes link. Where is it? And I'd wait like 2 months for it to kind of finally show up in that report. I don't know how to say that. Like, I just don't, like, I know that it's important to see that report, but I don't care as much about it anymore. I guess I would ask, what are the 30 links that are missing? Are they from authoritative sites that actually get real traffic? Because if so, I would expect to see them in that report instantly. I would also expect to see them in popular SEO tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs. So seeing here that there's only 3 referring domains in Ahrefs and only 3 or so showing up in Google, I would say that maybe those links are they no followed? Are they social media? Are they not really crawled often?
Yeah, Inga, can you give us some feedback on that? Let us know what kind of links are those 30 that you know that you have? How did you get them? How have you recorded them? Anything like that might be helpful in understanding why those are not showing up.
Yeah.
It is tricky. Like, Google may know about things that they decide not to report on. So for example, if you go into your Search Console and look at the coverage report, you may see things like crawled but currently not indexed, or discovered not indexed, whatever. It may be the case that the pages that you have the links on are like that. However, I will say I have seen quite a few cases where I have had someone tell me this, and I will go to the place where they have the link. That page is indexed. That page has the link very clear in the HTML. It is followed, and it still doesn't show up in the Search Console report or in Ahrefs. So I don't know. I don't know why. I guess it's maybe there's some filtering for the same reason that you don't get all of the queries to show up in Search Console, where it has something to do with privacy or anonymity or something along those lines. I can't be sure. I would have to, ask someone who works with Search Console to see if they have any like really clear answers. I bet you there's some information about that out on the web somewhere. Man, I wish I knew the names of a few people that probably have published about this, but do some searching online and see if you can figure out. I bet this topic is discussed quite a bit. And if not, post about it in the group some more, and let's see if we can dig up some more information. But yeah, I know it's frustrating. Personally, I would just keep moving, keep getting more links. And over time, it's got to be don't get discouraged is what I'm trying to say. Like the fact that those are not showing up, don't let that stop you from getting more links. Link building has to be a regular habit, something that you do over time, and that it will compound as you just keep moving and get more links. Some of those will start showing up.
Cool. All right. So this question is from Nelia, and she says that this website is on Squarespace. She would love a few tips if they're to stay on Squarespace and can't move away. First tip, let's look. So this is wood flowers, wedding bouquets, home decor gifts. Interesting. Very broad topics. Very competitive topics. I would maybe do a little bit more keyword research and find how can you narrow that wood flowers or improve that wood flowers a little bit to make it so you can actually rank in the short term. Meta description would help. And then the heading structure, I don't have an H1. There's just a handful of H2s. I would like to see wood flowers in a heading. More information about what wood flowers are. Or I guess, or wood flowers, sorry, wood flowers is just the name of the brand. Okay, so it's just making all this stuff. Okay, so luxury wood, silk, and faux dried flowers. Get more information about that in the title. Cool. I'm sure there's something about eco that you could use, or sustainable flowers. These features, if you can link to the actual news stories, that'd be great. Yeah, those are my quick thoughts. Do you have any quick thoughts on that?
What was the original question about Squarespace? I was trying to find that.
Yeah, so she's saying if one was to stay on Squarespace, what are a
Mhm.
couple things that you could do to help improve the site?
Yeah. Scroll the site for me one more time.
Yeah. So here's alternative florist. This text is kind of hard to read for me. I don't love this font, and it's just kind of a wall of text.
What's the primary targeting here?
It's a good question. So wood flowers, weddings, bouquet, home decor, and gifts. I don't think it's really clear.
I think that's the key, right? Like it's
Yep.
just what's the targeting here?
Right? Exactly. Make
If
it
I
clear in the
can't
title.
tell, Google definitely can't tell.
Exactly. Make it clear in the title, make it clear in the first initial viewport.
What is it that you offer? How do you want to be found on search? And whatever that is, make that extremely clear on your page. That's my optimization tip here. You can do that with Squarespace. Like it is very possible. It's totally possible. So I would say start there by making things clearer, and then if you're still having technical limitations, or one of the biggest reasons that I always want to migrate away from Squarespace is just that I absolutely hate their content management system. For
Yeah.
if you're trying to build a content library,
Don't
this
do
is
it there.
not the platform. I would not use it. If you're trying to build a 5 to 10 page small business site that just has a gallery and some information, and you can make things exceedingly clear, make sure that you're not using any of the elements that are going to slow down the page or make it unusable, fine. I think Squarespace can do perfectly fine for that kind of thing in a lot of markets. I just think for the most part, one of the reasons why we tend to be so anti-Squarespace is just we see that the way people are using it is the same thing with Show It. The way people are using it leads to technical issues where people can't get their pages indexed. They're having JavaScript errors that cause Google to skip the page and drop it out of the index. They're having their built-in URL indexed when they didn't mean to, and it's competing with their main URL. And like weird technical issues like that can come up. If you're not like using it correctly and like really on top of it, you need to be a Squarespace expert in the same way that you would need to be a WordPress expert to know all the random little things that can come up with WordPress if you want to like really use it correctly. If you use it, just like pull a template and kind of like fill it in and don't really go outside of that. The chances of it being pretty decent are fine. Like out of the box, I would say it's okay most, maybe not most, a lot of the time. But anyway, all of that to say, the people that we're generally talking to are people who want to build out authority based on content. That's kind of a big thing that we talk about. It's one of our big topics. It's not the only one, but one of the avatars that I like speaking to, avatars, the people, we have this whole presentation we did about SEO avatars, and like there's different ways that you can approach SEO. One of my favorites is the people who want to build content that, like, I think for Dylan and I, that's been
Yeah.
a big thing for us, where it's like we realized that we could post some things on our site that would then serve us for a decade, right? Like I've still got things that I posted on my site that's a photography website where I'm not even using it actively anymore. Things that I posted in 2015, 16, and 17 are still ranking on the top of Google and getting hundreds of clicks per month. Like you don't get that from almost any other type of marketing. And so, that's why we're so interested in that sort of content marketing. I'm saying all of that in regards to Nelia's like whole thing about like, if you were to say on Squarespace, for a business like this one, it might be fine if they don't ever have a plan to do any content marketing,
Sure.
to just stay here and just make sure that the pages are extremely clear, that whatever people would be searching for is found easily on those pages, and that, again, it's just clear what is happening on those pages. That could be all you need.
Yeah, totally. It's so hard because when I see this business, I'm like, this is so unique. You have so much to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just like be this like, oh, I'm a local florist and that's it. You have infinite like content ideas to run with and to publish and to share with the world. So yeah, and it's already getting press. Like how many other florists have been featured in the news? Like very few. Cool. So those are our quick thoughts on that site. Google actually understood it fairly well. They know that Petals and Bark is a florist in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That was not clear anywhere here.
Yeah, they're going to pull that information from other places as well.
Yep,
Their business
sure.
directories and social profiles, and they can see all that stuff.
Yep. All right, moving on to the next one. Let's see, where was this posted?
Let's make this one the last one so we can wrap this up. Just because I know people are going to watch the replay, and I don't want to make it go on and on forever. And also, I want to record that podcast. So
I know
we have a lot more people here than we had in the beginning. But hopefully, if you're here right now, realize that we're going to do this again, and we will be happy to look at your website, give you some insight, just give you our thoughts, talk about SEO topics. I know someone just posted about like recommended WordPress plugins to use for speed optimization. I would love to get into that kind of stuff. WP Rocket is what we're using personally.
Yeah.
But
Perf Matters is great as well.
We'll be happy to talk about this kind of stuff. We'll do it again. So I'm glad that people are showing up now and see what we're doing this. We'll look at this one more site and then we'll wrap it up for today.
Cool. All right. So I can't find the comment where this was shared, but it was shared in one of these. Oh yeah, it's Harinder. Okay, I'm redoing the website this year. Here it is. So this is probably like just what we would do if we were building a new site. All right, homepage, Winnipeg Wedding Photographer for the title. I would love to have your brand in here as well. I don't think I would have Winnipeg Wedding Photographer in the nav, just linking back to the homepage from the homepage itself and having the logo linked to the homepage. It's a bit, I just don't think it's necessary. Winnipeg wedding venues, great. Blog content, reviews.
Okay, Dylan, I have a thought here.
Okay.
You think this is like trying to be like ninja SEO? And you know how whenever we talk about internal linking and the fact that Google's going to take the first instance of the link on the page,
exactly,
you're talking about linking back to your homepage with an anchor text or keyword rich anchor text. It doesn't really matter because you already linked to the home and the nav, and they're going to just call that one. Like, is that, you think that like on every page you have a link that the anchor text is keyword rich, pointing back to the homepage? Is there any possibility that helps?
No. I don't think so.
0% chance, you think?
I mean, I think it's probably non-zero, but it's probably like not very likely. It's like 0.1% chance that might help by 0.1%.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that generally I would consider a header to be boilerplate, and that it will be mostly disregarded for the context of the page in question. So I think that it's very, very small chance. I'm just saying because I like seeing people experiment with stuff like that. So,
totally.
If you were at the point where you were doing like really advanced internal linking to like really try to move the needle a little bit on a few keywords and you wanted to test doing something like that, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think you're, thinking in the right way if that was your thought process to try something like that. If it's just because you think that like making it that, I don't know. I think that it's probably not helpful for most people. I don't want to see like everyone go do that, but I think that if you know how to track it and you're at a point in your SEO journey where you want to test something like that, it's an interesting test to run.
Yeah. More content on the homepage. I think this is just a slideshow. You have your heading, and then you have like straight into a call to action to check your date. You have a few reviews or a review, a few recent weddings, Instagram posts, and that's it. I also like to clean up this footer where you have the theme on the Genesis network and then like a link to WordPress.org and a link to your login page. I don't think any of those I would want to include.
Yeah, as much as I
Yeah.
don't usually get into design critiques in this, I do think there's some quick things that could really clean this page up.
Yeah.
I would fix the header being, squished where the logo either needs to be centered there above that nav, or
Yep.
the nav needs to be aligned right. Maybe if you
Like,
just took out that home link, it would fit
yeah.
better. The scroll on down, the spacing, it feels too squished. There needs to be
Yep.
some white space here. So under Winnipeg Wedding Photographer, I think you need about 80 to 100 pixels there. And then in that black bar, you probably need about 80, 60 to 120, anywhere in that range. You're looking at like you need some padding between these sections to help them separate so that people know, okay, we're starting a new section, and they don't get overwhelmed visually where they say, oh, all of this is coming together and I don't know how to differentiate it because it all feels like the same thing. Give that
Yeah.
some padding. And this is one of those things that's not just like my opinion. This is pretty much standard across all web design is you need to differentiate sections with some more padding. You can go scroll on down to the very end.
Yeah. I noticed the icon under the Instagram is broken as well.
Yeah,
But
that,
yeah.
and then the footer itself is just like the alignment here feels a little wacky.
Yeah.
And just like getting the spacing
It's
correct
like
on this makes a big difference. I just, if I hit that,
this is
I
centered, this isn't.
I bounce. Like I'm like, I just can't even make sense of this in my brain. Obviously, if
Yeah.
I take my time, I can like really try, but I'm having to exert effort to make sense of that organization where I want it to be like, boom, I know exactly where I'm about to go to because you had like the exact right title that was the right size. And then the spacing, it just makes it easy, easy, easy. So those are some things that I would do with this site. I think that it's likely that those kinds of things could impact ranking.
Yeah.
Usability, especially on mobile, but even on desktop. And maybe this looks better. Maybe the spacing is a little bit better on mobile. I'm not sure. I have seen, surprisingly, lately, I have seen more sites where I'll see something like that. And then,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're
like,
right.
look, exactly this kind of thing where it's like they were optimizing for mobile and just kind of forgot to go back into desktop and clean it up. This looks better on mobile, although I still
Yeah.
want to see that padding at the beginning and end of the sections just to make sure that people know they're going into a new section.
Yep.
Footer definitely looks better here on
You
mobile.
totally called it. It's definitely a mobile first design,
Which is good. We like
is
that.
good. It's
But
good.
it's so easy to go in and just fix a few things on desktop as well.
Yep.
Hopefully
Cool.
that's helpful.
We had one more question. We don't have to look at these sites, but
Go
there was
for
a
it.
product photographer, and they're asking what would the best way to create more content without having a clustered homepage. I think you can still like. I'm trying to think of really good examples.
Leslie, what do you mean by clustered homepage exactly? Or Dylan, how do you interpret that?
Yeah. So I think when people like in the like past have like talked about having a homepage that's very like they add SEO content to it, and they add these like blocks of text, walls of text, or they just add meaningless drivel that has keyword stuffed in it. And then they're like, this doesn't look good because it's not good. I think you can attack it in a different way where you have important content, but you design it well. And like Corey was mentioning earlier, have a lot of space around it. I think there are ways to.
Wow, what is this beautiful site you're looking at, Dylan?
I know it's a sneak peek. It's just something we're working on, but um, I think there are ways to design content and have it have the information that's really helpful for users and information that Google thinks is important for those users laid out well, and it doesn't have to be like jam-packed, I guess.
Yep.
That's all I have to say.
I agree. I think that I've seen so many cases of beautiful sites that have plenty of content and they are not clustered. Like they are not necessarily overwhelming. You can do it. It is possible. It might take some creativity, might need to look for some inspiration, but it's out there. There's lots of modern, clean sites that incorporate plenty of copy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like this, I think this might be their website, but even if you just had like a big, bold, beautiful text with like really good font pick that just said skincare photography, or I think that's what or like product photography, like it'd be so easy to just like give a little bit more of a hint of what you're doing and still have it fit this aesthetic. And I mean, pick fonts that look like the products you're designing.
Large typography is a good tip there.
Exactly. Large, beautiful, awesome typography. Maybe work with a designer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be done. I think that, I mean, this is the type of work that everybody wants to feature on their websites. And so like, if you handed this to a designer and like build a beautiful design on this, like they're going to crush it. They're not knock it out of the park.
Yep.
That's cool. Good work.
Sweet. Well, again, I just want to let everyone know that we will be doing this again. We're testing some things, like I said. So let us know. Give us some feedback in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. Let us know what you would like to see from a live call from us. And we got a list of like 300 sites in a thread recently where people just wanted some feedback on their site. And I was like, I don't even know how to deal with 300 sites. But that was kind of what inspired us to try doing a live and just say, hey, we can do a few every week for a little while and see how that goes. So make sure that you're in the Facebook group. You can subscribe on YouTube if you would like to get those notifications there if you're someone who uses YouTube. And we also, just to let you know, we have a membership available. If you go to fuelyourphotos.com, I think it's just /membership. You can find the link on the homepage as well. Inside of that, right now we're doing 3 live calls a week at least. There may be even more. David made it on YouTube. I love it.
Nice.
I'm glad that someone took advantage of that YouTube link. But yeah, we have calls inside of the membership multiple times a week, and it's like this, but even more attention on the sites, and we can like really dig in a little bit more. So if that's something that you feel like would be helpful, if you feel like you need someone to keep you accountable, if you just want to hang out with some fun people who are working on their websites and trying to grow their business, it's a really cool space. I've been really enjoying spending time there, and we would love to see you there. So you can join that if you would like. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will see you next week.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.
And I have to figure out how to end this live because we're using the software. Let me see if I can do this.
I see a leave at the top. We can just ghost everybody.
It's so funny. There's not an end button on here. Hang on. We're going to get this going here. Let's do this.